Okay, so when it comes to range of motion and regaining your range of motion after ACL surgery, it should not be putting you in agony. I want to start by saying that. No one should be cranking on your knee. No one should be putting you in an amount of pain that you're screaming out, that you are feeling like, oh my God, I can't wait for this to end. Most importantly, no one should put you in an amount of pain that leaves you more painful after. And that's really important because we see a lot of people do this, go to in-person PT, get their knee cranked on, trying to force a range of motion, particularly flexion, for a measurement on the goniometer, and then they tighten up afterward because they're so painful and they lose that range of motion. And it actually can have a negative impact. So the key with gaining range of motion, we'll differentiate this. We'll talk about flexion first. The key with gaining flexion is consistency more important than intensity. So when we say that, it means you cannot work your range of motion too often. The more often you work it, the better off you will be. You can work it too intensely. So if you crank on your knee and try to get a number and you put yourself in agony, you often will tighten up after due to that pain and struggle to keep that range of motion, even if you just gain some. It is often counterproductive, and we see people make this mistake all the time. So the best way to gain range of motion is gently, consistently, many times throughout the day. So when we say this, most often we're talking about doing heel slides. We want to make that as passive as possible, meaning you're not actively doing them with your leg muscles. You're using your arms and a strap to help pull you into a level of flexion that brings on mild to moderate discomfort. And you try to gain 1 degree of range of motion every time you do it. You do that 1 set of 10 every 2 hours, you're going to gain range of motion. You're going to like the way you feel. So more often is better than less intense. I want to circle back to what I said about being more passive rather than active. So you will never gain range of motion actively. That means using your hamstring, bending your knee, whether you're laying down in any position, you need to have it supported and active, right? So there's a couple ways to do this, but the most simple way to do this and most accessible way is the heel slide. So you want to be on a frictionless surface. You want to use a strap. You want to cross that strap over so it goes around your knee, and you want to wrap that strap around your hand. So you're using your arms to make the motion. Arms on a frictionless surface. Do not try to gain range of motion actively. The overarching theme of this with range of motion is we want to establish and gain range of motion passively, and then you want to build the strength in that actively. So that is flexion. Now the other side of this is extension, meaning straightening your knee. Most importantly, we want to note that you do want to get into, establish, and keep hyperextension. You want to get as close to the level of hyperextension as you have on the other side as you possibly can. So even if you have hyper 5 up to hyper 10, you want to establish similar levels of hyperextension there because it will really impact how you feel when you walk, and then especially how you feel when you jump and run. Extension is very different. So extension we establish through low load, long duration stretching. And you will tolerate a level of discomfort there. It should be discomfort, not not agony, right? Ideally, the earlier you do this, the earlier you establish that extension, the less opportunity there is for scar tissue to develop. So you want to first and foremost get that hyperextension by any time you're sitting down, you are propping your heel up, having something behind your heel, nothing behind your knee, and you're letting gravity do its job to push you into extension. You want to do that basically as long as you can tolerate. So if you're sitting down, what we say is we'd rather you establish discomfort early on rather than have to deal with agony and someone pushing on your knee into extension later on. So you can take breaks, you can interrupt it. Of course, you're going to take breaks to work your flexion, but the more often you can be, anytime you're sitting down, the more often you can be with your heel propped up, letting gravity do its job, the better. As you get further out from surgery, we like to do something called a backpack hang. We'll put weights in a backpack, put the strap on either side of your knee. So if this is your knee joint, you're gonna have the backpack straps just above the knee, just below the knee, and you're gonna let gravity do its job. The goal with that is 10 pounds for 10 minutes, at least twice a day, so morning and night. Ideally, if you're really struggling, 3 times a day. But the more often you heel prop early on, the better off you'll be. And as you work your way up to that, you can take breaks. The other big thing with extension, and the real key we see where people mess this up, is you have to walk with it. So what we mean by walk with it is if you don't have the strength to walk and get your knee into hyperextension when you walk, you don't trust it, so you hold that knee in a slightly bent, co-contracted position as you walk. What the ways that happen are twofold. One, people focus too much on range of motion and not enough on strength early on, you will never be able to get into extension if you don't have the quad strength to control it. So you can do all the range of motion work if you want. If you don't build the strength to control it when you walk, you will struggle. And then secondarily, they rush off crutches before they're ready. So if you're progressed off crutches without any criteria, before you're walking with full hyperextension with the crutches, and then if you walk without full hyperextension off the crutches, or progress off the crutches before you have the strength to control that hyperextension on your full body weight, you're really going to struggle with extension, even if you do all the other range of motion stuff right. So extension is a multifactorial approach. You have to establish the range of motion passively. You have to build strength in that range of motion that you've established actively. So you should be starting on the leg press, starting to work open chain knee extensions before you start walking without the crutches. And then you need to make sure that as you're progressing off the crutches, you have the strength to control that hyperextension when you walk. Those are the big keys with establishing range of motion. If you are looking for something more custom, this is something we build for clients all the time. Shoot us a message, whether on Instagram or you can book a call on our website. Let's have a conversation. This is a very complex, multifactorial approach. Really important to nail all of these things, whether working on flexion, extension, strength, walking, all of those things. It's exactly what we do for clients here at All on ACL. But if not, hope this guide helped you and gives you some insight. Last thing, don't let anyone crank on your knee.